Hey guys, another impressions video. This game, I've got gameplay running here. I'm actually testing the PS4's gameplay recording. You can kind of, it looks like you can only record up to 15 minutes, but I thought I'd give it a shot and see what it's like. It's really cool where you can just record your gameplay while you're playing a game and add it, put it on a USB stick. Yeah, pretty neat. But this game, this is Axiom Verge. An independent game done by one guy. His name is Tom Happ, and yeah, already very impressive. I always find it super impressive when these indie games come out done by one person. And I think Dust and Elysian Tale was done by one guy, and this is too. And if you're looking at this right now, I think you're gonna immediately think of Metroid when you look at this game, and yeah, it plays quite similar to Metroid, and it's obviously inspired very much by Metroid. This is a Metroidvania, although I played Ori and the Blind Forest pretty recently, which was another Metroidvania. We're getting a ton of these lately, but that was more of a puzzle platformer Metroidvania, whereas this is a run and gun platformer. Metroidvania type game, and I much prefer this style. That said, I think in terms of comparing the two games, I like them both equally. This game, I think there are some missteps that are a bit of a shame, because I think this game could have been an all-time classic, but there's a few things about this game that really bother me. We'll get to those in the gameplay portion, but yeah, this game is, I think it's like $17 right now on sale on the PlayStation Network right now for PS4. It's going to be coming out for the Vita in, I think, a few weeks, as well as the PC in June, I believe. I could be wrong on some of those dates. I'll put that in the YouTube description box, but yeah, the normal retail price is $20, which is, I think, a fair price for this game. It's actually fairly lengthy. It took me 12 hours to finish it, and that's not getting 100%. I got, I think, 65% of the items and 90% of the map completions. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of replay value. There's a speed run mode that's really cool that you can do, where that's what I'm playing right now for this gameplay footage. You can see the timer in the top left. So it's actually a mode designed for speedrunners, where they cut out all the dialogue and random sections of the map. There's some randomized elements here, but yeah, I think this is a cool mode, and I think it something like this should be added in any game that's designed for speedrunners in a way. I mean, this game's not completely designed for speedrunners. Other people can play and enjoy it, like myself, but I think that it's cool that the mode is here. But yeah, let's start with the story. I'm not going to talk too much on it. Basically, you play a character named Trace, and he's involved in a lab explosion, and he kind of finds himself in this weird alien world, and that's all I really want to say. There's more dialogue in this game than I expected. You'll meet characters, and you'll have long, dialogue boxes pop up, and you'll have the conversations are longer than I would expect. There's just more dialogue than I was expecting for a game of this type. And the story, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care about the story whatsoever. It gets really there's a bunch of techno babble later on, and I found it kind of confusing, and I don't think the writing is all that great. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy the storyline. However, it doesn't really ever get in the way, and I don't think there really is too much of it. So that's good. And then of course you've got the speedrun mode that completely gets rid of that stuff. So that's great too. So the story, even though I don't think it's very good, I ultimately don't think it's that important for this game to have an amazing story. And you can skip pretty much all of it, and it doesn't really get in the way, even on the main, the main story mode. Two difficulties right off the bat: normal and hard mode. I went for normal mode. I didn't want to be too challenged, and normal mode is tough. It's definitely challenging. Nowhere near as challenging as Ori and the Blind Forest, but that game you could kind of restart exactly where you died. This game uses a checkpoint system, and I died 44 times in this game compared to 320 in Ori. So yeah, overall this game's probably not as difficult, but it might be around the same. It's just the checkpoint system makes it so that this game doesn't feel as difficult. or rather that Ori doesn't feel as difficult with its checkpoint system, sorry. But yeah, story, not going to say too much on it. Gameplay is where, the gameplay is where this game shines the most. And yeah, it's your classic Metroidvania style. You've got your map you'll be constantly referring to. You've got backtracking. You're basically collecting new abilities and new weapons. One of the things that kind of sets this game apart, though, from, say, Super Metroid, you have a bunch of different guns in this game. Whereas in Super Metroid, you were kind of upgrading. Well, you got like a couple different weapons, but you're mainly upgrading your abilities a lot in that game. This game, there's at least, I found about, I want to say, 10 different weapons, and I think there's even more that I missed out on. Because, yeah, some of these weapons are completely optional and are hidden quite well. And each weapon is completely different from the next. And certain enemies and bosses are well, at least I found them to be weak against certain weapons. So it's really fun to kind of experiment with them, and it's very rewarding when you do come across a new weapon. Other abilities, you've got this drill, which you're seeing here in the gameplay, where you can kind of destroy blocks. You've got I don't really actually want to spoil the rest of the abilities in terms of the late game abilities, but they're always surprising. I'd see ways to go that are inaccessible because I figure, I need a new ability to get through here, but I never could quite figure out exactly the right ability I would need. But when I got that new ability, I was like, oh, right, okay, that makes sense. This game's kind of interesting too, where there'll be visual glitches in the environments, and there's a whole mechanic based around that, and that's all I'm going to really say about that. But I thought that was really unique. The abilities are definitely unique, and that's, I think, what kind of sets it apart from Super Metroid. But I mean, the gameplay is your standard run and gun. The levels, though, are exceptionally well designed. I mean, I couldn't really fault any of the level design here. It's really top notch and very challenging without being frustrating. But yeah, of course, yeah, you've got your map. There's cheat codes as well. You can get. There's a bunch of other stuff that I don't really want to spoil. This isn't going to change your mind on this type of game. If you're not into the Metroidvania style, you're probably not going to enjoy this. But if you are, I think it's a for sure safe bet that you will get some enjoyment out of this. The controls are perfect. Super Metroid, I love Super Metroid. I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. I don't think it's an all-time classic or anything, which, yeah, opinions, a lot of people will probably disagree with me there, but one of the reasons I wasn't too crazy about Super Metroid, or rather, I don't think it's this masterpiece of a game, are the controls. I just found Super Metroid's controls to be very stiff, but this game has really tight controls. I absolutely love the controls in this game, absolutely perfect. It just feels great to run, shoot, and jump, and just navigate these environments. Now, as far as gameplay goes, it's all really great, but the one weak point are the bosses. There's a few bosses in this game, and I really think they're poorly designed. Basically, they're just these giant bosses that will just go from one side of the screen to another, at least most of them, and shoot a bunch of bullets at you in a bullet hell kind of fashion, like in shoot 'em ups. And they'll just do that over and over and over again, and they have extremely massive health bars. Well, you don't really see their health, but they take forever to kill, and they don't really change up their moves. You'll see them get redder and redder in color the closer you are to defeating them, and then they'll just get faster. So they'll shoot their bullets even faster, and that's it. Every boss is like this, and a lot of the bosses are really annoying. Some of them I found really cheap tactics that I'm surprised that they didn't catch these kind of tricks you could use. Although maybe they were intentional for speedrunners. But for one boss, for instance, I found all I had to really do was jump over him and get behind him, and he never turned around. So you could just stand behind him and keep shooting him until he died. The final boss in particular, I think, is probably the worst boss in the game, where it has I swear, an unavoidable barrage of lasers and bullets, and it takes forever to kill. And I basically had to resort to another cheap tactic where I just kind of stood in a corner and shooting constantly at the boss. And and eventually I destroyed them. I don't know. The bosses I feel are very lazy and just go on for way too long. I think there was like one boss in the entire game that I thought was good. So that was a big disappointment for me. Getting 100% in this game I think would be very difficult. There's a bunch of trophies that like beating the game in less than 4 hours and things like that. I don't see myself doing that. Like I've gone through the game once. I think that's good enough for me. I've never really been big into 100%ing these Metroidvania type games. Like Symphony of the Night is like my favorite game of this type, and I didn't even 100% that. So, yeah, gameplay wise, overall really top notch. Just a shame about the bosses, and that's just my opinion. Some people might enjoy the bosses. I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of them, and the level design is, I guess I said it was, this game is challenging without being frustrating. But there are a few sections towards the end that I thought were kind of annoying, but nothing too major. Visually, you're looking at the visuals here. It's, pixel art. It very much looks like a Super Nintendo game. Some people might not be too crazy about the art. I think it's okay. I think the problem I have with it is, like, the environments they kind of feel and look very similar from one another. I mean, the game's quite colorful, but I don't know. I found myself actually getting lost more due to the environments rather than like the map being hard to navigate. But I don't know. Like visuals, I don't know. They're all right. I think it's more impressive to consider the fact that one guy did this. He did the art. He did the music. He did the gameplay, and I think I can see them. I'm more impressed by them in that way. But typically, though, I do like this kind of art. So, growing up on the Super Nintendo, so I think some people are gonna dislike the art more than others, but I think it's fine. Now, audio-wise, the music in this game is fantastic. The music is absolutely amazing. And each track is very different from one another. The first track in the game is like this very synth-heavy track, and I thought the whole soundtrack would be like this, and I liked it. And it definitely got stuck in my head, but I wasn't expecting the variety of music. Like, one song a bit later in the game has like, it's almost like, it's got like these weird computerized vocals that really add to the mood of the game. Like, the atmosphere in this game is really cool. I really enjoy the atmosphere. It really feels like this bizarre alien world. And the music is fantastic for that. It really adds to the mood and helps create this game's atmosphere. And again, very impressive the fact that he did the music, the sole developer. Now, I do have a complaint with the audio in terms of like sound effects and volume. You can't actually adjust the volume of the sound effects and music in this game, and I thought that was kind of odd, especially considering that this game is, I think, extremely loud. I don't know. It was kind of frustrating that there were no options for that. I had to turn my TV down extremely low to have it at an acceptable volume. So that was a bit weird. Maybe that will get patched in later. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I guess that about covers it. I think I've talked about everything. There's a lot of things I don't really want to spoil regarding like the different abilities you'll get. But yeah, it's safe to say if you enjoy this type of game, you'll really dig this one. It's a great game. I definitely don't feel like... I feel for $20 it's a good purchase, because the length of the game was surprising. I didn't expect it to be a good length. And it doesn't feel long. Like, it doesn't feel... Like, I didn't feel like, oh, I feel like I need to finish this game now. It's getting a bit too long. And I never really felt that way. But yeah, a lot of replay value for speedrunners and people that want to, like, 100% the game. But yeah, another great game this year. But yeah, not quite the classic... it could have been, I think. Definitely some flaws, but yeah, if this looks appealing to you, definitely check it out. But yeah, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.